Hey, Natsu here. Today I'm going to do part 0B of What If Deku Had Living Swords. So, in the last part, I ended it with Deku basically um, age 10 in around 1 month. After basically fixing the house completely and getting the name of Pan. So, after basically everything that happened, Deku finally has two things that he can basically look out for. He will train a lot, and he knows that. So basically, Deku got ready to do the most training he probably ever did and ever will do. For, well, simply enough, he got told by Pan that he was going to finally be able to be a hero. And for Deku, that's not something that he can pass up. So, now this part is going to be the training. So, the next day, Deku basically gets woken up by Pan at around 5 in the morning, which is extremely early, but still. Pan tells him that, well, Deku has to train a huge amount, so every day he will start extremely early by hunting something. Deku accepted because, well, yeah, he needs to eat, so every morning he wakes up and do one of two things, which is hunting or fishing, because he needs meat to have a lot of energy. Since his farms, well, quote unquote farms, they're not truly fully built to do that. Basically, he's able to get from the farms some plants like carrots, potatoes, and other things like that. But basically, he looks for fruit in the forest, basically trying to find trees that has them, or bushes, and for other veggies, he does that. So yeah, but basically every morning he needs to find meat from fish or from any other animal, doesn't matter. So Deku goes and does that. Basically, what he does first is go look at his traps, which he found that one of them had a bunny and another one had something else in it, which is bad, since it's not actually an animal. Basically, what the trap had in it, which the way the trap worked for that one is one of those traps where you have the rope basically on the ground with a tripwire. The moment the tripwire is basically um, tripped, the rope basically goes up, and anything that was in the circle basically gets lifted up. Deku actually caught what looked like a human. He wasn't sure if it was one though, because, well, the way it was looking. Deku basically was looking down, well, up, at a human looking beast, kind of. fur on the entire body, but he didn't know if it was just an animal with a quirk that made it look like a human, or a human with basically animal features. So he decided to take it down and try to walk to see if, well, first it's an animal or a human, and it basically didn't seem like, well, actually no, it seemed like it could enter both categories. So he tried to wake it up afterward to see if it was actually still alive. And if it was a human, it would basically speak, or try to speak at least. After Deku did that, it did wake up, and basically it started speaking the same language as Pan did the first time Deku met him, which is the language where he basically didn't understand anything. Deku basically got scared, and the man, quote unquote, basically tried to calm him down. But since Deku didn't understand it, he didn't really understand that, and he basically just left. He basically went back to take the rabbit and went back to the house. Deku just kind of didn't want to say about that, but Ban asked him how everything was going. Well, if anything happened, because he seemed scared. And Deku basically just kind of told him what happened. Which Ban told him, "Oh, you probably met one of the people that live here, in this forest. There are many of us, but it is pretty rare for them to speak, well, Japanese, like you and me. Most of them speak that language that I spoke the first time. Basically, he doesn't want to say how it is, well, what it is, for now. And I won't tell you for now either. Only 3 people knows. Me, Gray, and Onizard. So, yeah. Basically, Pan told him, "Do you want to learn it? It would be easier for you if you made some of the others." Which Deku said that, yeah, he would like to learn how to speak it, because he knows how to read it. That Pan already told him that it was basically the same language, just written instead of talked. So Deku basically decided to tell him yes, and Pan told him, "Okay, the training will start soon. Cook the rabbits and eat it. We are going to have to go train a bit far from the house, so get ready." Deku basically gets ready, kill the rabbit, prepares it, eats, and goes back to Pan. Pan tells him that they're going to go further in the forest, in a place a lot denser. So they go there. Pan tells Deku that once they get there, which basically Deku knows it's in the middle of the day. Basically, it took around 2 hours for Deku to wake up, go get the rabbit, come back. After that, it took him around 30 or so minutes to basically prepare it, then cook it. It took a bit of time, but basically not too long. But it took around 3 hours and some minutes before they left. And then it took them around an hour to walk to where they are now. So about 9. But so Deku knows that it's only 9. But this part of the forest is completely dark. there's almost no light. Pan tells him it's alright. This place is where they're going to train him. Deku asks, they? Which Pan basically whistle, and two people basically come out of the tree. One of them looked like a girl. Basically, well, one of them looks like a girl, the other one like a male, but both of them seem to have animal features on them. Basically, the girl has more yeah, okay, sorry about that. The girl basically seemed to have more of a gorilla-like body and fur and stuff like that. The male, it looks a bit more like a fish. Pan tells Deku that those two do speak English, so he's going to be able to communicate with them. But it is limited of how much they can speak, so don't go too far. Deku says, basically says it's okay, and then they tell him that they're going to train him. They want him to learn as much as possible, so he should get ready, and they're not going to go easy on him. Deku gets a bit scared at that, but basically says calm a bit, and they go. They start going a bit further in the forest. Pan tells him that while they're going to train him, he's going to explain to him, well, the language. So, they basically start the training. And over the next 2 years of his life, so Deku is 12, well, around 2 years basically. Deku's going to get his birthday about a week after the training is done, so he's just about to go 12. Sorry about that. So like I was saying, Deku is 1 week before he's 12, and it's the last day of his training. Deku, during those 2 years, met many other people that lived in the forest, as well as learning perfectly how to speak the language. They didn't tell him yet what it's called, though. So Deku can now speak and understand the language perfectly, communicate with anyone that he meets, and one thing he remarked is that not all of them, but most of them do have animal features. And all he's thinking is that they all have animal type quirks. Well, mutation type quirks. So, he doesn't think too much of that. Pan tells him, so, in a week, it's your birthday, right? Which Deku says, yeah, it is, why? With Pan telling him that since his training is done, and that his strength is pretty huge, he's able to move like animals now, and even his way of thinking changed. He should be able to do many things now, but more importantly, for the next week, the only thing he's going to do is have everyone basically be against him. Deku doesn't understand what he means by that, which Pan basically looks at everyone and tells them, You remember what the blades say, right? Basically in a language that is different from the one that he learned. This one seemed a bit wrong, as if the words can't be understood. But basically, Pan told to the others, you remember what the blades say, right? We need this boy to be able to control them. So, basically, Deku doesn't know what they want to do, but they tell him to come. He follows them until a specific point in the forest. They tell him to go a bit further, which he basically does, but being a bit worried, until he hears a crack. I have to pause again. Sorry about that. But basically, Deku heard a crack, which he basically didn't like the sound of that. When he heard it, he basically tried to turn around until he fell down. And he fell down in a hole for quite a while. When he looked back, he saw one thing in the eyes of the others: happiness. As if they were ready, well, waiting for that to happen for a while. But that it just happened this once. He felt a lot of betrayal in that moment. Deku felt as if they were his family by this point. The only people that actually understood him. And they just threw him away, as if they wanted him to die. He felt a lot of damage, and his soul wavered for a while. When he got down to this bottom, he saw many things around. Firstly, a lot of candles all around the room. On the ground, a lot of oil, or oil-looking thing, extremely slippery, as well as a lot of needles, wooden sticks that were basically sharpened. All over the walls, he saw a lot of needles as well. And he just realized that no matter what he does, there's no way to escape from there. The ground is made of pure solid rock. All of those little needles will basically hurt him to an extreme amount. Whatever is on the ground could be dangerous and poisonous for all he knows. So damaging his feet or hands would be extremely bad. He felt as if he needed to find a way to go. But during the next 2 days, he lost all sense of hope. Nobody was coming. All of them basically seemed to not even think of him anymore. Deku was ready to just give up. But something pushed him to go further. Something weird. For the first time, he felt hate. He wanted to go after them. He didn't want to just stay there and let them have, well, be happy that they finally did that. He wanted to get revenge on them. But weirdly, his heart didn't waver. He wanted revenge, but he didn't want to kill them. All he wanted was to basically show them that, no, you're not going to kill me like that. I need to push further. His soul burned bright, as if it was fire. Over this full week, Deku pushed through everything. He felt the damage to his soul from people betraying him. He felt how it is to be betrayed. He went through everything that needs to be required to control every blade, but he didn't realize it. Until on the last day, right before the day of his birthday. A rope came down from the hole, and Deku basically grabbed it and started going up. Even though he was extremely dehydrated, over the 7 days, it did rain many times, so he was able to drink. He was extremely famished because he wasn't able to eat anything, but at least he had water, sometimes. Once he got up, he just saw everyone, and all of that he felt at first was anger, until he saw that all of them were actually bringing him stuff. He didn't get it until Pan basically told him, "You did it. You were able to see the betrayal in us. How we were happy to see you fall. You felt every emotion that is required for you to control the blades. And during all of that time, you didn't even realize something. No matter what you were trying, nothing was working. But if you just had waited, like you did, we would have come back. If you would have moved, you would have get a lot more, hurt than what you are right now. But you just stayed in a single place and didn't even try to go away. You gave up at first until you just felt anger against us. And over 7 days, even that went away. With you only thinking we had a good reason. You are worthy of the 6 blades. And we are really happy for that. Deku was still a bit shaken up and wasn't understanding correctly at first. Until they told him that if he truly was going to get hurt, they would have come automatically. They were looking at him. But even when they thought he was going to do something, they stayed strong and stayed up there, to not go and help him, just so that he could actually go through them. Deku started to understand and then asked one thing. Why? He didn't even know that he would actually require the blade. That the blade would require those. He thought that what was written was just, writing to dissuade people. Until they told him no. The blades have their own souls. They cannot think, but they can still choose who will wield them. and each of them has requirements. If they are not met, the people touching them will get hurt, or sometime if they aren't even worthy and will never be, they can die from it. But you didn't. Even when you touched the first blade for the first time, all you felt was a lot of heat and you got scared. But you didn't get hurt. The blades already considered you a good choice, just not ready. But over the 2 years, you've trained, and you showed that you wanted to be the best, be able to do as much as anyone else could. Even though you didn't have a quirk, you've learned to actually hunt, fight, track. Your body increased to a point that no normal human without a quirk would be able to do. You can swim faster than normal human. You can keep your breath underwater for almost 10 minutes. It's really impressive. Your strength is such as normal human would think you have super strength. And all you did was 2 years of training. Many people would go far and wide and multiple. Sorry about that. Many people will go far and wide to train in any way possible for dozens of years and never get that strong. But you got there. Just through pure physical strength, you're able to climb up trees, walls. Hell, everything you know now. You've learned as one of us. You're a human, and yet you've lived with us for 2 years, showing us that you are special. Then Deku basically told him, yeah, but why is it so hard to live with you? Which Pan told him, because normally people cannot see us. Normally, people that actually see us don't believe it either. But you unlock the capacity to see us, the capacity to hear us after touching the blade. You are now able to communicate with spirits. Other humans who are able to do that are extremely rare, and most of them don't even think that it's real. But you didn't even realize it. This proves to us that you are special. It proves this to us that you are unique. That is why we trained you. So you could become one of the greatest heroes, as well as the keeper of the blades. Deku just kind of realized that, wait, spirits? You mean real spirits? Which all of them basically just told him, yeah. So, how does it feel to know what we truly are? With Deku basically laughing for a while, until he just said that he didn't even realize it. All of them were so different, special, but he didn't realize anything. Which all of them basically told him that it was fine. They were happy to see someone like him around. Spirits don't get that long of a... Well, normally, spirits don't get childhood. Most of them are actually people who died, or spirits were created from emotions. And since people don't normally see them, it's actually hard to, well, do a lot of things. But having him around was an experience that none of them actually felt in a while. Deku then kind of just realized that I have to go just a second. Sorry for that. And now I don't remember where I was. Okay, so them telling Deku that uh, okay, I think where I was after they told Deku that the reason they liked having him around so much was because of basically him being a child, and that normally spirits don't really have those childhood, or whatever. So basically, Deku asks, okay, but now that I'm 12, what's going to happen? Which all of them basically laugh a bit and basically tell him that his birthday present is the blades. He can go and get them. They're his if he wants them. With them, he can become a hero. With them, he will have powers. So, Deku accepts, and they tell him that he should go there. But first, he should eat, because 7 days without eating is pretty bad. So, they basically get him a feast, which Deku basically eats a lot. More than what a normal kid should, or just a normal person in itself. Which he never realized it, how much he ate, after basically being with them for a while. Until that moment. Which he basically asked, wait, I just realized, I eat a lot. Don't kids normally eat? Yeah, kids normally eat a lot, but not that much. And basically ask them if they have something to do with it. Which they basically tell him that partially, since this part of the forest is actually called the spirit forest. While in this place, spirits don't age, but humans actually grow faster than normal, as well as use a lot more energy. That is why Deku was able to actually increase in speed, strength, and basically everything so fast. For the outside world, well, both the outside and the spirit forest basically go at the same speed, but humans' metabolism basically goes a lot faster while in the forest. They age the same, but, well, partially the same. Basically, they age, well, physically age at around 1.3 speed, making Deku a bit older since basically for the last 2 years he's just been in the forest. So he aged from 2. Yeah, he aged almost 2.8, 2 years and 8 months, or 9. Um, Normally I have that written down, but basically I just wrote down that he stayed there 2 years, and basically the amount of time that his body advanced faster. But yeah, basically that's why Deku eats so much, and why his body basically advances at such a high speed. The physical body age at 1.3 speed, but their metabolism and the speed at which they basically become stronger, faster, or anything like that is more around the 7.5 speed, which is huge. So for Deku, who just basically spent there for 2 years, his body basically felt as if he was training for 15 years in an extreme condition. I have to pause, sorry. Sorry about that. Um, so yeah, basically, Deku's metabolism's been well, basically trained for 15 years, while he's only been there 2 years, in conditions that were so extreme that his body actually had to go further. Other thing that happens to human in the spirit forest is actually that injuries heal basically faster, as well as basically having kind of a small boost from it. Which is why Deku's basically been increasing in everything like that. Like, the more they train, yes, their metabolism goes 7.5 times, well, grows 7.5 times faster, but at the same time, they get stronger the more that happens, just thanks to the simple boost coming from the spirit forest. So, that's basically how Deku's been increasing in strength so fast and so massively that it was basically impossible normally. But he still was able to make it. Once they got back to the mansion, well, house, they went finally to the basement. And Deku went in front of the first sword, Sunshine, and basically grabbed it. This time he felt heat, but it was more of a soothing heat that was perfectly made to feel good, to make you feel like everything was okay. So Deku basically just accepted it and took it out. The sword made a light, which basically forced Deku to close his eyes until he opened it again. Well, opened them again. The sword was on fire and basically pushing a lot of flames all around him. But he didn't feel the heat from them. It didn't feel burning. They basically told him that he can put it down now. They could just kind of ask them what, which they said, put it on the ground. Everything's going to be fine. And he basically did it, putting it on the ground, which the flames turned off, and he looked around and it was as if the flames never were there. The sword wasn't in the stone pillar anymore. But wait, there was no sword, no pillar anymore. The pillar with Sunshine just disappeared when they could take it out. Which they basically just told him that, well, Pan, to be more precise, the other ones don't actually went with him. But basically, Pan told him to go get the other ones. He went to Ice Age. He grabbed it and felt a cold that was actually good. A perfect temperature for a summer day. A cold that suits you. When he pulled it out, just like for Sunshine, a massive burst of icy wind basically blew around him, freezing everything. Pan told Deku, "That's good. You can let it go now. Put it on the ground." Which this time Deku didn't ask why and just did it. The moment he did, no ice were around. The temperature was back to what it was, and once again, the pillar disappeared. Deku goes to the next one, Bloodlust, and grabs it. When he does, he feels as if his blood was boiling, but not hurting, just a boost of courage, a boost of everything, as if his strength was basically trying to come out. And by strength, I mean all of his strength was basically trying to push out of him at once, as if it was trying to basically force him to use it. When he took it out, the same as for the other two. A light, and then suddenly a massive amount of red just swirling around him, as if he was in the middle of a whirlpool of blood. Deku was not actually frightened by this. It was as if everything was fine, as if he knew nothing would happen to him. Pan told him it was good and to put it down, and Deku did. Pan told him, "You've got some of the worst out of the way now, except for one. Pass to the next," with Deku basically looking at the next one and going to it, grabbing it, and when he remembered it, he just kind of went, "Okay, bones. I'm ready this time." And the moment he grabbed it, what he felt was as if all of his own skeleton structure basically started to harden, as well as becoming a lot heavier. But he wasn't being pushed down. Deku pulled it out, and just like the others, a light, and then he looked around and weird. There's nothing. Until he looked at his arm and he realized that all of his flesh was going away. Everything that was left was the bones. But he didn't feel scared. It was as if it was natural. Pan told him it was good and to put it down on the ground. Deku did, and once again, the pillar was gone, but nothing was left. Deku looks back at Pan and tells him that this one was weird. And Pan told him, "Yes, but you didn't fear it." With Deku saying that, "Yeah, no, it was as if everything was going to be okay." With Pan tell him, well, it was going to be. With how you are, or I should say who you are, I'm not surprised everything went well. I think even the last one might be okay for you, but you should go to the next one. Which Deku looked at the next one and just thought, yeah, it should be fine. The power of light, right? So, Deku got closer to divine judgment and grabbed the hilt. He felt coursing through his veins pure courage, a sense of justice, the desire to help. He pulled out the sword and felt as if everything was going to be perfectly fine, as if everyone around was perfectly fine. He could help everyone. He could protect everyone. When he finally pulled it out, a bright light. When he opened his eyes, it was as if he was in a blank space with bright orange, white, red, green, blue, and other colors, just dots all around him, flashing in the whiteness. Pan told him everything was well, and to put it down. Deku did. When he opened his eyes, the pillars were gone, no lights were to be seen, but everything was well. Pan told him the last one was the worst, and that he should be careful. Deku told him everything was going to be okay, which Pan told him, "Then show me." Which Deku did. he went to Nether Oblivion and grabbed the hilt. What he felt when he did that was as if pure anger was trying to consume him. But he didn't let it happen. He knew if he did that, bad things would happen. And he didn't want that to happen. So he kept it. Pan told him that this is already pretty good. Now, pull it out. Which Deku did. This time, instead of blinding light, though, it was an all-consuming darkness that just surrounded him suddenly. Deku felt as if the world was crumbling, and as if gravity itself was compressing him. But he didn't flinch. He kept pushing. He knew that all he did was for this, and he had to push further. Pan told him it was good, and that he could put it down now. And Deku did. When he opened his eyes, the pillar was gone, and the darkness too. All of the evil or even anger he had towards anyone, even his old classmate who told him that he could never be a hero, everything of that was gone. His anger, his rage, his sadness, everything was calm now, as if the sword itself ate his negative emotions. Pan told him that now they were going to start training with the swords. Deku asked him, "So, how will I do that?" Which Pan told him, "That will come tomorrow." So, hope you liked this one. There's one last part 0 that's going to come, well, tomorrow. As well as probably I'm going to do part 1 as well tomorrow. So, stay tuned for that. Tomorrow, Deku will train with the swords themselves for the last amount of time, until around a year before the entrance exam, where Deku will go back to the city to learn as much as possible from what changed. So, hope you liked it. Leave a like if you did. If you have any questions or any comments, put them in the comment section. I'm going to read everything. So yeah, Natsu out.